So good morning again. Just give us some welcome in Spanish and English, and then we will start. So buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Nuno, soy responsable de marketing de DHL. Hoy tenemos un webinar sobre Brexit, uno más, aunque ha pasado un año de Brexit, todavía tenemos algunas cosas que contar. Y bueno, para ello tenemos la participación de Stefan Arnold y Rebecca Hood, que son dos compañeros de DHL UK que van a contarnos algunas novedades del Brexit, sobre todo qué recomendaciones hay después de un año y todavía algunos cambios de cuestiones fitosanitarias que entran en vigor ahora el 1 de enero. Recordar que todo va a ser en inglés, ¿vale? La presentación va a estar disponible en español también, aunque la pantalla vais a verla en inglés, pero os vais a poder descargar la presentación en español si queréis seguirla en vuestros ordenadores o vuestros móviles. Ahora os pasaremos un código QR para poder descargarla. Recordad, importante, de dejar las preguntas para el final, lo vamos a ver, y lo tendremos en el Q&A, la parte de preguntas y respuestas. Dejar vuestras preguntas ahí, por favor, no en el chat, y lo tendremos luego al final, una sesión de preguntas. Cambio a inglés ahora. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. And we'll have this session today, the webinar session about the Brexit. It's been almost 1 year, but we still have some recommendations for you. And we still have some best practices to share, and also some news about the phytosanitary rules that will change in the 1st of January. So we have today Rebecca Hood and Stefan Arnold from DHL UK to give us these new rules and to give us some recommendations on the Brexit. And the webinar will be in English. So we have people from different countries in Europe, from Spain, and also from Italy, Ireland, and so on and so on. So welcome everyone, and remember, the Q&A session will be in the end after the two presentations, and we will read all the questions that you have posted in the Q&A part. So if you want the presentation in Spanish, you can also download. We will show you now a QR code that you can, with your mobile, just download the presentation in Spanish in case you want to follow also the Spanish presentation. So from me, just to give you the welcome, Rebecca and Stefan. So we can start with Rebecca sharing your screen, and go ahead and welcome both of you.
Hello, yes, good afternoon, everybody. So as Nuno just mentioned, my name is Rebecca Hood, and I'm the Senior UK Customs Manager for DHL UK. So Brexit has been quite a part of my life over the last few years. So really quite pleased to be able to come and present to you today you know, some of the key recommendations really that we're still experiencing throughout the last year with Brexit, and then obviously help you with any questions that you've got, you know, around some of the key changes as well. So as we say, you've got the scan, the QR code there that you can scan, and you're able to download the slides in Spanish. And yeah, so we'll get started.
Sorry, Rebecca, can you add full screen mode, please? It will be better for everyone.
Apologies.
No problem.
I didn't realise that it was.
Thank you.
Is that better?
No?
No,
yes.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so content. So we're just going to talk about our exit from the EU so far. So how, you know, the last year has been for us. Some key lessons learned, so some of the key changes really, and you know, our recommendations around those changes for our customers, and also a few sort of next steps for 2022. So some up and coming changes for next year. So our exit from the EU so far. So we've obviously it's been 11 months now that we've left the EU. And, you know, for saying, obviously, it's one of the biggest changes that we've ever experienced as a business. You know, it's been quite a positive year, really, within the UK. We've you know, seen our volumes increase quite considerably, obviously, since we've left the EU. You know, the number of shipments that we are now having to clear through customs for all of our EU material that we didn't have to before. But we've managed that extremely well. So we've managed to maintain all of our service levels to our customers. We've actually increased one of our main KPIs, which is basically our clearance on arrival, and that's where we are measured on the the percentage of shipments that actually clear before they actually arrive into the UK. So obviously that's to make sure that, you know, we're delivering and clearing shipments as quickly as possible and delivering that great service to our customers. So, you know, we've managed to maintain all of our service levels, you know, given that great service, but yet, you know, we're handling all those additional volumes. Never experienced any sort of backlog of shipments on hold. So as I say, really positive year for us on that. And one of the reasons that we've managed the Brexit volume so well is our preparations, obviously, prior, you know, to leaving the EU, and, you know, building our workforce and recruiting lots of additional people to help us, you know, deal with all those additional clearances, you know. So we've more or less doubled our department in size. And we're still obviously continuing to upskill all of our people to make sure they've got all of that, you know, that key customs knowledge. And despite all of this as well, we you know, DHL UK as a whole, we've done extremely well in terms of a replacement of our UK customs system. So at the moment, the system that HMRC, so the actual, you know, UK customs that they ask us to use, is called Chief, and that is actually being replaced. And despite all of the, you know, additional sort of challenges and things that we've had to change throughout this year, we're actually leading ahead with that, making sure that we are compliant for our business and we're compliant for our customers as well. So far, a really positive year. And we will sort of talk about, you know, CDS slightly in the next steps for 2022. Okay, so moving on to some of the key lessons learned and the recommendations for our customers. So you may or may not be aware already that we had some real key changes around VAT and how this was going to be collected. So from January the 1st, UK VAT on goods up to the value of £135 is actually now to be collected at the point of sale, whereas prior to Brexit, this was collected at the point of import. So this was quite a big change that obviously, you know, came from the UK leaving the EU, and quite a big change for our customers as well. So, you know, prior to January, obviously we would just collect the VAT at the point of import, and we would then pass on those charges to our customers. And now for all of the goods that are actually under this value threshold, that is actually the responsibility of the seller to make sure that the VAT has been collected at the point of sale. So one of the biggest changes that we saw from this is that we actually do not raise formal declarations from shipments that are valued from £0 up to £135. So these shipments actually clear under a simplified bulk clearance. So you do not get an individual customs declaration for those goods. There are some exceptions to that. So goods such as gifts or excise goods, we still have to do a declaration for those, whereas the majority of shipments actually under this value threshold do clear under that simplified process. And it is the seller's responsibility to make sure that that VAT has been collected. So that's shipments from 0 to 135. There was another key change actually that came into place, was shipments over £135. And that was around the postponed VAT accounting scheme. So any of our customers that are registered with VAT can actually postpone their VAT at the point of import. And what that means is that we do not collect that VAT at the point of that customs declaration and the goods being cleared into the UK. It means that it just can be accounted for and recovered on the same VAT return that is handled by the customer that is actually registered for VAT. And one of the key changes that we saw from Brexit is that obviously because of the change around VAT having to be collected at the point of sale, we had lots of sellers all around Europe that are now registered for VAT and wished to utilise that VAT registration for goods over £135 as well. So we have many customers now that, for example, could be registered for VAT but are a seller in Spain, where you are able to declare yourselves as the importer of record and make the most of postponed VAT accounting, where that removes the necessity from the actual importer, the actual person receiving the goods in the UK. They don't have to handle any of the customs formalities. It actually can be taken care of by the seller declaring themselves as the importer of record and then also opting to use postponed VAT accounting. So there would be no VAT to collect at the time of import. So some of the key benefits that this offers to our customers is an improved cash flow. Obviously, you're not having to pay invoices or pay money to then reclaim it back. And also, the next point is that there are fewer invoices to pay from DHL. So this is for our importers that are based in the UK, but also for any sellers that are registered for VAT as well. One note, a key sort of note around that process, where we do have sellers that wish to be the importer of record on the customs declaration, is that wherever there is duty to be applied, because there is unlikely to be a UK billing address, we actually have to have those shipments under DTP billing terms. So that allows us to charge back any duty that is due on that shipment back to the seller's account number. So just to make sure that there is not any delays on the shipments on import into the UK, we actually can get those shipments cleared under via postponed VAT accounting. So there'd be no VAT to collect at the time, but the duty then gets reversed to the seller's account number. There's no additional charge for using postponed VAT accounting, but we just need to have your details or the importer's details in the UK. And we have to have those details registered on our customer master file. Just a talk around that really. So request for information. This was a real benefit that we saw throughout the year as well, where we're able to collect our customers' customs information prior to the goods actually being shipped. We're able to hold that information on our customer master file database, and that allows for a smoother clearance. It means that we have all of the necessary information on our customer master file ready to clear those goods, and again trying to attempt to clear those goods before they arrive. So when the goods actually arrive into the UK, we're able to quickly release and get them delivered the next day. So real sort of speedy and efficient way of us clearing those goods. So we do have a form that we started to use throughout the year, which was a request for information form, and this just captured some key details that we wanted to hold on our database, and that was just the shipper's name and address, the importer of record, so their EORI number, so obviously that key vital part of a customs declaration that we need to have those details. The import of record, company name and address, and also their contact telephone number and email address. The email address is really quite useful. If there's any information that we're going to be missing or we need to contact the customer, it means that we can do so by email. But we can also ensure that the importer of those goods also receives the copies of all of the customs documentation automatically from our system. So a copy of the C88, so the actual official customs evidence of those goods clearing through to the UK, we can ensure that those documentation is sent automatically through to the customer as well. So again, approval to act under postponed VAT accounting. If you or your customer has a deferment account in the UK as well, so anything that's really vital as well. So if you have a deferment account that can be used for duty collection, again, we can hold that on the system and ensure that's declared on all of our customs entries. Commodity codes, so if that information, so the actual HS code or the commodity code for your products, if you do have specific codes and specific duty rates that you wish to be declared on the customs entry, and they're not declared on the commercial invoice, we can also hold that information on our customer master file. And then also the DHL account number. So if there are any duties or taxes to be paid on that particular customers' shipments, we can hold the account number on file as well. And then we just have a useful email address there at the bottom, which is for our CMF team. So whether we have this information just within the email or we actually use the request for information form, it's this team that actually do provide and make sure all those updates are made to the system. So we've talked about the changes to VAT, and we've talked about postponed VAT accounting, and where we also saw that we had a lot of requests for different importers of records to be declared on the customs entry. We also saw lots of queries, where we didn't have sort of an acceptable description of goods, or maybe queries because we had charged the incorrect duty rate on customs entries. And what we say really is to try to provide us with the most perfect commercial invoice possible, and declare all of that information nice and clear, and just making sure that all those key information that is required for that customs declaration is clearly provided. So this is just an example of what we call the perfect invoice. So obviously you can see just the sender information, and then we have two separate fields. So we have the receiver of the goods, so the person who's actually receiving the delivery of the shipment. But a key part of a customs declaration is to actually know who is going to be the importer of record, who is accepting the duties and the taxes, who's going to be billed potentially for any duties and taxes. So this section here, and again, we accept lots of different templates, but as long as the information is clear, this is quite vital to make sure that there is a clear bill to party or an import of record party that will differ to the receiver. So we need all of the company name, contact name, address details. And this is what our declaration team are trained to look for. So whenever they are looking to determine who that import of record is, they look for this section on an invoice to make sure that we can declare those goods appropriately. So that's one real key part of providing the perfect invoice. Another part is this goods description again. So we have to have acceptable description of those goods, and also in plain language what actually are the goods that are being shipped. so we can again, successfully clear those goods, because if our documentation provides us with all of the necessary information of what those goods are, we can clear the shipment straight through, and we don't have to, incur any delays, or we don't have to contact our customers to gather that information if it's already on the invoice. Some other key points to add is also a contact number. So again, if there are any reasons to why we do need to contact the importer or the receiver for missing information, a telephone number and an email address is really, really useful. So again, we can ensure that we try to contact the customer before the shipment actually arrives in the UK, to make sure that we clear those shipments through UK customs as quickly and efficiently as possible. And also we have at the bottom here, and I will sort of cover it off a little bit more in the next slide, is if you do have a preferential status to those goods, and you wish for those goods to be claimed under that preferential duty, that again, we also need to make sure that we see the preferential origin statement on the perfect invoice as well. So hopefully that just provides, and again, obviously you've got, all the other necessary information, so clear customs value, quantity, and all of those key pieces of information as well. But this has been something that we've been educating a lot of our customers, just to try and provide us the most clear and concise and perfect invoices as possible, and it really does help get those goods cleared through customs accurately and efficiently. So I did talk there very briefly about the preferential origin statement, and this was another key change, obviously, that we saw from Brexit, was the proof of origin, so the trade and cooperation agreement. So where the goods are coming in to the UK and they have EU origin, you're able to claim that relief from duty when the goods actually get cleared through to UK customs. And we basically need to see that statement on the commercial invoice. And again, just to give an example of what it looks like in a bit of a bigger example, this is it here. And basically, yeah, if you are wanting to claim duty relief, we need to make sure that we have those statements on the commercial invoice. Where the shipment does not exceed €6,000, we just can have that statement there just from any exporter. Anybody can put that declaration on their statement, on their commercial invoice. The moment we actually exceed €6,000, the exporter must be registered and have a REX number. So they must have a registered export number, which is this REX reference number here. And they must include that in the statement. If that isn't provided on the documentation, it's likely that the shipment then will be charged with full duty relief. So it's really important that if you want to take advantage of this trade agreement, that again, just to provide that information on the documentation. So before I move on to the next steps for 2022, I think these were what I've just sort of discussed were the key changes and some of the recommendations that we've been making to our customers throughout the year. And for any customers that have experienced issues with UK customs, once that advice has been taken, we've seen a lot of benefits really from our customers, that they've then started to have really quite efficient clearance and not experienced any issues after they've started to provide perhaps a better invoice, or we've held their customers' information on our customer master file. So hopefully that just provides you with a few useful hints and tips, from the key lessons learned really that we've experienced from Brexit throughout the most of this year. So just a few things for 2022. So I'm not sure again whether you would have been aware of this, but UK Customs actually allowed for a waiver for the preferential statement. So currently anything up to the value of £1,000 we didn't need to have that statement on the actual commercial invoice. We were able to claim duty relief, even if, so as long as the goods were of an EU origin, we were able to claim that relief without the statement being on the documentation. Now that waiver is being removed. So now we're just obviously encouraging all of our customers to make sure that those statements are on the documentation if they're not already doing so, just to make sure again that, you know, for any shipments that are under that £1,000 mark, that we can continue to claim those duty reliefs for you. The UK is also going to fully migrate to the new customs declaration service. I briefly talked about this earlier on, where the UK customs computer system that our systems actually linked with in order for us to create all of our customs declarations is being completely replaced, and that is with the customs declaration service. So we've been really quite busy. Our teams, our project teams have been busy, and we have a really great close relationship with HMRC, developing our systems and making sure that we are fully compliant, and, you know, making sure that our customers are also aware of any key changes, because there will be some changes for our UK importers that they are going to be made aware of. But of course, we will make sure that at the time of any key changes, our customers will be made aware. And then finally, just to say that, you know, we couldn't talk about Brexit without talking about Northern Ireland. So just to say really that the Northern Ireland Protocol, you know, it's still something that is, you know, there's political uncertainty, and that it still remains unclear as to what exactly the customs formalities are going to be for Northern Ireland. But again, just to say really that the moment that we do get any clarity around that, we'll of course be making sure our customers are updated. And just to say really that, again, you know, thanks for listening really, you know, and we're here to help. If you've got any questions, then please do let us know in the Q&A. You know, we've got a lot of trained and experienced people within the UK Customs team, and, you know, we're always happy to help with those questions throughout the year, not just in today's webinar as well. So that's it from me, and I'll pass over to Stefan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, and for your presentation. And yeah, as you said, we go now to second part with the changes on the SPS phytosanitary products. So now we have Stefan. Whenever you want, Stefan, we have some questions in the Q&A. We will answer in the end. If you want to keep sharing questions here, we will read them in the end. In the meantime, also let you know that we will share the presentations also after this call, after this webinar, and also the recordings we can share with you, of course. So you will have all the information. So Stefan, all yours. You can start.
Great, thanks Nuno. Thanks Rebecca. So thanks everyone for joining, and good afternoon. So hopefully you can all see my screen. We've got, just keep this on a second, just for anyone that may have joined after Rebecca started presenting the slides. You know, if you want to scan the QR code, and you'll get a Spanish version of the presentation. So just keep that going for a couple of seconds, and then I'll jump straight through, and we'll talk about SPS products, sanitary and phytosanitary products, and what these changes will be in 2022. Just give me a couple of seconds. Okay, so over the content, we'll cover some of the main changes, what can and can't be imported in 2022. What will it mean for DHL Express customers? What will it mean for DHL Express UK? What do we need from the country teams and the country customers, there'll be an FAQ section and a small Q&A, and we'll also cover some of the next steps as well. So, what are the main regulatory changes for shipping sanitary and phytosanitary goods into Great Britain? So, since the 1st of January 2021, as Rebecca put it, there's been a number of changes for the UK since we left Europe. As many of you will know, obviously there's been documentary checks on imports, including imports of animals, plants, and plant products. But all of these checks have taken place at the point of destination, i.e. a customer's premises. So from the 1st of January 2022, the UK introduces its first stages of import checks for goods that are sent from Europe into the UK. For any of you that have been kind of reading the news, the UK have been putting this back. They've put this date back several times. So initially it was supposed to come into effect from the 1st of March 2021. Then it was going to be the 1st of October 2021. And now we see it as the 1st of January 2022. So this timescale keeps moving slightly. So anyway, so from the 1st of January 2022, the first stage is that DHL UK will need to submit pre-notifications on all shipments of animal origin, animal byproducts, and high-risk food not of animal origin. It will also be introduced for regulated plants and plant products. So now what's the difference for July 2022? So this is where, for the first time, all checks on regulated plants, plant products, and animals will all take place at a border control post. So that will basically mean that those waybills will have to be stopped on import into the UK, and we'll have to present that physical consignment to the border control post. From the 1st of January, that doesn't happen. We just submit a pre-notification and the goods travel to the importer. But from the 1st of July, that has to stop. So what can and can't be imported? So some typical goods that will be okay to be permitted for import into the UK would be products not controlled by import restrictions. So example products would be things like finished cosmetics, like a tub of face cream, sweets, confectionery, and chocolate products. Phytosanitary goods will be permitted for import. Plant products, seed, soil, we can continue importing those products without a problem. Animal diagnostic samples, not for human consumption, animal byproducts, and animal lab samples, as long as they have a valid UK import license, we can continue importing those products too. So some examples of products that we wouldn't be able to import, so if they've not got a valid import license, would be animal byproducts or animal origin products, including dairy, meat, fish, egg, or egg products, for human consumption without a valid import license. High-risk food without a valid import license would also not be permitted, i.e. goods like fresh pepper, curry leaves, that kind of thing. Live animals, we don't tend to see many of these on the DHL Express network, but again, we wouldn't be able to import those products following the 1st of January 2022. Germinal products, so things like horse semen, again, wouldn't be allowed to be imported without a valid import license. Animal byproducts, animal serums, again, same thing, unless it's got a valid import license, we wouldn't be able to import that. An important point to mention as well is gifts containing restricted food products. So an example of this would be if a family member will send in goods from their home in Europe to a family member in the UK, i.e. French cheese, we would have to stop that freight, present it to a control post, and there would be a charge for that service. So again, this would not be able to be sent from the 1st of January 2022. and then cosmetic products. So if the product's in its raw form and it contains gelatin, collagen, milk fats, those kind of goods, unless it's got a valid import license, again, we couldn't accept those products in. So what does that mean for DHL Express customers? So customers must get ready for the change in regulation, as DHL UK will not be able to accept sanitary and phytosanitary shipments without a valid import license. For goods that aren't controlled, customers can fill in the customer statement forms, and there's an example of that in the slide deck, to enable clearance for non-controlled SPS shipments. Customers with existing import license can continue shipping to the UK. We also need customers to ensure that the correct documentation listed on the clear item listed on the invoice is done in order to allow a smooth customs clearance. So some typical examples of descriptions, things like Spanish food assortments, food, other food preparations, snacks. Those kind of descriptions need to be avoided because it's not specific enough for DHL UK to be able to understand whether the goods are controlled and require presentation, or whether they are just okay to be imported. You know, we don't know what those products are, so we'd need more specific and accurate goods descriptions. So what does this mean for DHL Express? So from the 1st of January 2022, DHL UK must submit the pre-notification to the UK authorities on behalf of the importer for all controlled SPS goods. The goods are not held, but they're notified to the Department for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, or DEFRA in the UK is the regulation. So from the 1st of July 2022, DHL UK must continue submitting the pre-notifications to the UK on behalf of the importer. But then there's also this first introduction of the import controls. So, i.e. the freight will be held at the border for the inspection to take place. So here we've got a little table just to kind of explain what these changes are. So if you have a valid import license, DHL UK will clear the shipment. There's no need to present those goods to a control post. We will just simply capture the license and submit the customs declaration, and the freight will continue being cleared without a delay. If there isn't a valid import license, then DHL UK are charged £192 for the inspection per shipment. And this process can last for several days. So it's not unknown that when we present goods to a control post, that the goods may be on hold for 2, 3, 4 days while the inspections take place. So the goods will be held for the inspection. If they were to pass, DHL UK will clear the shipment. If they don't pass, they will either be returned to origin or destroyed. But DHL UK are still charged £192. So even if we don't have the ability to just return the goods to origin or destroy them, we have to still present them to a border control post, and we're still charged £192 for the inspection to take place. And then finally, there is no billing system to enable that £192 charge to be sent back to the UK customers. So that charge is all absorbed by DHL UK. So what do we need from EU customers? So we need, first and foremost, the customer education on the change in GB regulations. So you might ask, why is this all come into effect now? It's mainly because of the EU exit and the fact that for the last 30 to 40 years, the UK have been trading with Europe, and there's been no checks or no detentions of any goods, any SPS goods, over the last 30 to 40 years. However, with Brexit, now the UK and EU become third countries, so the regulations follow exactly the same path as they would from the rest of the world. So this is not something that's new for the rest of the world. DHL UK have to do this process for rest of world freight. So we're just bringing the European goods into the same scope as rest of world. So part of that customer education is making sure that the customers are aware that from the 1st of January 2022, the changes come into effect concerning the control and importation of EU products of animal origin. And goods requiring presentation to the border control post will not be accepted on the network and shouldn't be sent. So customers, we also need to check if goods are controlled for import. Obviously, we've got some specialists on the call here. You guys will know your goods far better than myself or Rebecca would. So, we need you guys to check to see if your goods are controlled for import. And if they require things like licenses, we would ask the customers to make contact with UK receivers to arrange the applications. But if the goods don't require a presentation, then we can also accept these statement forms. And if they're completed, that should enable a smooth customs clearance without any delays. Then we also need to ensure that customers sending SPS products include quality goods descriptions. So as I mentioned before, descriptions such as Spanish food assortments, food, other food preparations and snacks, that's to be avoided. We need more specific descriptions. And then the instruction would be for customers to self-assess the legal requirements to understand if SPS goods are not subject to any additional checks at a border control post. And they must attach to each shipment the necessary documentation, i.e. health certificates, import-export licenses and authorizations. Or alternatively, if they're not controlled, provide us with a statement confirming that the goods are not subject to any SPS import restrictions. So there's quite a lot of detail there. So what I've got here is just a couple of kind of FAQs. So hopefully this might help clarify some of the points that you may already have asked. So is the UK only restricting SPS goods from the EU? So the answer to that is no. The UK does not permit these goods from rest of the world. So the EU context, as I mentioned before, is more prominent because the UK has been trading these products for the past 40 years without any controls. So what we're trying to do is raise awareness that these restrictions are coming in next year and that it will affect the trading relationship between the EU and UK where these products are being shipped. So if goods are presented to a border control post, what does that mean for DHL UK? So DHL UK are charged £192 for the inspection, but there is no mechanism to bill the importer with these charges. That cost is bared solely by DHL UK. Can the goods not be returned to origin? So no, any SPS goods without a valid import license need to be sent to the border control post for inspection. As I mentioned before, if they don't pass, the UK authorities will oblige us to return or destroy. However, we are still charged £192 for that inspection. And what about the animal byproducts? So DHL UK are authorised to carry animal byproducts. However, we can only accept ABPs where the UK importer is licensed to import. So I've mentioned a lot about licenses. Why does having a license mean it's different or that it follows a different path? So the UK authorities generally do not require BCP inspections at the border where an importer holds a valid import license, so we can continue carrying that. So basically, as you can imagine, there is no disruption to the trade. We just have an image of that license, accompany that with the way bill, and clear the goods accordingly. So what about cosmetics from the EU to the UK? So cosmetics as finished products, i.e. a face cream, that can be imported without any restrictions. Are human bloods in scope as well as animal bloods? No, it's just the animal bloods that's restricted. Where would we send import licenses? So we would need them to be sent to our UK Customs Department, and that's their email address is ukdefra@dhl.com. Are samples covered by the same restriction? So that's correct. Even just a small sample of, say, 100 grams of honey would still require presentation to a border control post. There's no difference by small amounts of that product. We still have to present them, and they still undergo this whole clearance process. And where can I find a standard import license form? So below is the link to the UK government website where you can get the information about how to apply for an import license. So we have the Q&A. I think there's a few questions that have no doubt been posted in the chat.
Yes, correct, Stefan. There are some questions on the SPS. So if it's okay for you, we can answer just live here. If it's okay, we just have 5 minutes just for answering some questions. So we have questions also in the chat. We have questions in the Q&A. So let's go to the Q&A first. So we have first one from Emilios. Do you have a template for the accepted health certificates and phytosanitary?
There's not, no. So the health certificate is a standard issue. I believe they're normally granted by the EU when shipping products like outside of Europe. So that would be the European customs teams that would be best to answer that one.
Okay. So where do we obtain an import license? From gov.uk? Yes.
That's right. Yeah, there is a link when you get the slide deck as part of the materials following the call. The links are all in there.
Okay. And there are a couple of questions on honey. This is one from Maria for B2C buyers in the UK. What is applied if an individual buys honey, needs valid import license?
So the rules are slightly different for private individuals to what they are for companies for products like honey. So if it's honey, I believe the regulations say that you can import up to 2 kilograms for a private individual without any restrictions. However, over 2 kilograms, then that would be classed as more commercial activity by the UK government, and then they may well have to look for some kind of import license application.
Okay. Up to 2 kilograms. Okay, that's important. Okay, good. All right. So again, from Diana, are fruits and vegetable juices for human consumption considered phytosanitary goods?
No. So as long as it's a juice, that's fine. No restrictions there.
No restriction on that. Okay. And in which category are the essential oils?
So I would say essential oils are probably more like cosmetic products, but if you was to check, I would advise us to check the government websites just to make sure that those goods fall under those categories.
Okay, better to check, of course, with the exact number. Okay, there are also some questions, of course, here from Spain we have, and also from Greece. Olive oils. They're asking about what are the restrictions for these products.
So olive oil, off the top of my head, I believe is okay to be imported, but again, check the restrictions. The same with olives. If they're fresh olives, then I would check with the UK. There is, when I get further down the slide deck, there is a page containing several links to products where you can check the products which are listed for controls. So I would advise the customers to make sure you're checking that media.
Again, Stefan, I believe it's not the same to be B2B or B2C, no? I imagine if it's for private consumption, it's probably have a limit, no?
That's right, correct.
Okay, the same as honey and some other products, okay.
Right.
Okay, then let's go for another question. There are so many questions. Just to let you know that if you have any questions that not answered, we will then just send you an email with all the answers that are not answered right now. Just go for another one from Raquel Sanz. It is valid that the European EORI number to export from Spain to UK if the Spanish company only is based in Spain. I mean, if my company only is based in Spain, do I need a British EORI number to export to UK? Maybe for Rebecca, this one.
Yeah, so if you are exporting to the UK to an importer, you would have to account for the VAT. So you'd need to be registered for VAT unless the importer is registered for VAT and they wish for their VAT number to be used for that VAT accounting. But you don't necessarily have to, and have an EORI number unless like I say, you're wanting to be the importer of record, or if the importer of record also is not going to be using their VAT number for the VAT accounting. So the Spanish seller would need to account for the VAT if the goods are under 135. If the goods are over the £135 mark, then the Spanish seller does not have to be registered for an EORI number as long as the UK importer is registered. That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much, Rebecca. So, well, let me check another last questions about human samples. I think you've made it clear, Stefan, because during the presentation you just answered some of these questions. Let me check if there is any questions, Stefan or Rebecca, that you see in the chat that you can probably think that it's not answered yet. Essentials oils is answered. Honey is answered. Well, I think most of them are answered now. I will just invite everyone to send us an email afterwards in case you still have any question. We will send you the presentations in a second and also the recordings, and then you can get back to us, and we are happy to give you any other questions, any answers afterwards. So, okay, so thanks a lot, Rebecca and Stefan again. We'll get back to you in case we have any other questions, and we'll send all the information to the attendees.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot. And muchas gracias. Thank you, everyone, for joining and for the interest. And as I mentioned, we will send you all the information. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.